Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
I catch up with my good friend and Sky commentator, and that is Grant Nisbett, who joins us now. Well, we're down to the quarterfinals, Grant, and it's pretty good looking at it. I'm looking forward to it, actually, this weekend, which I bet you are too.
Yeah, 4 games, and they're all pretty good games, aren't they? We play Ireland, you've got Wales against France, England against Australia, and of course Japan, the big surprise of the final 8 against South Africa. So, 4 good games, Ron, over Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, let's have a look at England's. They've made a few selection surprises. They're in the first game, of course, against Australia. And the surprises are, a little out of queue, I think. But anyway, that's the way they're going to go with it. But Australia probably fancy their chance a little.
Yeah, I think so, although Michael Cheika hasn't been able to beat Eddie Jones in 6 attempts. So 2 old mates from the Randwick Club in Sydney find themselves now coaching opposite teams at a World Cup quarter-final. It's pretty interesting, but England have decided to go with Farrell at 10, which means there's no place for forward, and a big midfield with Tuolangi there, of course. So, look, England will be organised. They'll be hard to get past. They'll have a big forward pack. Australia are going to have to be at their very best. They're going to have to play something like they did when they beat the All Blacks in Perth. Now, whether they can do that, I'm not sure. But England certainly go in as the favourite.
Yeah, I thought you'd be saying that. Okay, and they are the favourites to knock over a little bit later in the evening for you and I, but it won't matter because we'll still be watching it, and it's the All Blacks against Ireland. Now, Steve Hansen has picked a young midfield combination, Sonny Bill Williams on the bench, but it looks a pretty good-looking side, this All Black side.
Yeah, relatively predictable. Just a couple of things. Goodhue, I didn't think it had enough rugby, actually, and I thought they'd go with Crotty, but they've gone with Goodhue. Must be certain that he's fit and ready to go. They're starting Retallick, no surprise there, even though he's played little or no rugby, and they've put Cody Taylor in at hooker instead of Dane Coles. I'm not quite sure of that one. Maybe they figure that Coles offers more off the bench. And the other interesting one is that Geordie Barrett is in the reserves instead of Ben Smith, so it could well be that Ben Smith's international career is over because, of course, if they get past this game, they've only got 2 games remaining anyway. So, yeah, 1 or 2 interesting talking points.
Yeah, Geordie Barrett, for one, is that one, I think. But Hansen believes, he's got a lot of things going for him, and he can kick goals, he can drop goals, he can be part of a side that he joins in with, and he just gets that, I guess, and he'll get his chance. Yeah,
and he also can play in midfield. I think if you put Ben Smith on the bench, you're probably only covering fullback and wing. With Geordie Barrett, you get an extra possible midfielder. I mean, he played number 10 in the last game. Now, I'm not suggesting for a moment that's where they'll put him, but, maybe he offers just a little more versatility off the bench than what Ben Smith does, and also is that added extra that you mentioned, the goal kicking, which could be pretty important towards the end of the game. If they suddenly found themselves 60 metres out and needed 3 points, they'd throw the ball in his direction because neither Moonga or Bodie can kick it that far, so you just never know.
Okay, what about Ireland? Are they a chance? I mean, they have beaten them a couple of times, twice out of 3 games that they've played over the last 18 months, haven't they?
Yeah, they are a chance. There's no doubt about that. And the reason I think they're a chance is that they can shut teams down with, it's pretty conservative sort of rugby, but it's hard. And in Dublin last year, the All Blacks didn't manage to get a try in 80 minutes. Sure, Ireland only got 1, but nevertheless they got the one that mattered. And so, they can slow the game down, and if they can get a bit of possession and kick well, and they probably will, with Murray at halfback and Sexton at number 10, they could be an issue. I'm still thinking the All Blacks will find ways to breach that defence and probably play an up-tempo sort of game that in the end Ireland won't be able to live with.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I mean, they in the last 15, they may just run over them. I don't know. I just get that feeling. We hit them.
Yeah, well, the bench might be important too, of course, and I'm not quite sure who's on the Irish bench, and will they get the value off the bench that the All Blacks probably will.
Yeah, dead right. Okay, let's head into Sunday. And Wales take on France. Well, you never know what France are going to be like, but Wales have looked pretty good, haven't they?
Yeah, well, Wales are the defending Six Nations champions, and look, they've just been chugging along. They did beat Australia. That was their only significant game in the round robin. France apparently are in turmoil. They don't like the coach. They don't like the captain. They don't like much. But actually, that's when they play better than, they like, they're a bit like Donald Trump. They love chaos. If there's chaos around, they can thrive on it. And so if I was a Welsh supporter, I'd be pretty nervous.
Yeah, you probably would be too, because you just not know what you're going to get, do you? And they,
No.
And they look sharp when they go.
Yeah, and they've got, as we know, they've got a great record at World Cups. Admittedly, they've never won a final, but they've made a couple, and they've also managed to upset the All Blacks, as we know, several times. So they've always got a good game in them in the World Cup. Now, if they haven't played one yet, I'd be very wary.
Okay, let's go to Japan at home. Great to see them get into the quarterfinals against the South African side, which I guess the Japan scrum will have to prepare for the box, won't they? Because that's where it'll be the difference.
Yeah, I think the box are going to be too organised. They'll be a bit like Ireland against the All Blacks. They'll be able to slow the game down, and Japan will want to play at 1,000,000 miles an hour. They play with great skill, at great pace, but there are ways of shutting that down, and they'll need possession as well. I'm thinking the Springboks will feel very happy that they've drawn Japan in the quarterfinals, because nobody really wanted to play Ireland, and I think we felt that after we beat the Springboks in that opening game, that we were headed to the easier side of the draw. Well, of course, along comes Japan and upsets the apple cart, and we still end up playing Ireland.
Okay, who goes into the semi-finals then? You tell me.
Righto. Well, the All Blacks do, the Springboks do, and the other two games are a lot harder to pick. I know what I'd like to say in the Australia-England game, but I'm going to say England. And I think the upset possibly is France beating Wales.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. All right, mate. Well, you're going to enjoy it. You got a bit of rugby over the weekend too, have you?
Yeah. Excuse me. We've got the semi-finals of the Mitre 10, of course. You'll be interested with Tasman. They look the team to beat. They've got Auckland. I think they'll deal to them all right. And then it's Wellington, Canterbury. That'll be a beauty, actually. Haven't seen the teams yet, but I did Canterbury last week, and they copped a few injuries, so I'm not sure what their final team will look like. So a couple of good semi-finals. Yeah,
it could be Wellington against my side from Nelson. That'll be good.
Yeah, and it'll be down there too, which will make it impossible for Wellington, I reckon.
It probably would too, mate. Okay, you have a great weekend. Thanks for talking to us. I'll catch you later.
Good on you, Ron. Cheers.
Okay, that's Grant Nisbett with us here on your live and local station, Beach FM.
106.3 Beach FM.